On this week's show, how to deal with tenants who don't pay their rent due to COVID-19.
And we're going to be answering all your property-related questions. Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. We are here every Friday at 12 p.m. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share with all of your friends.
Hi, I'm Russell Leeds.
I'm Alistair Cunningham.
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. We are here. We are filming it on Zoom. It feels like I haven't seen you in ages, my friend.
It's been like 3 weeks, man. I'm going crazy. I only get my weekly dose of Russell's humour on Zoom now. I don't get it every day like I used to. I miss it.
How does that feel? I mean, that must be just devastating for you. What is life even worth living?
Well, I do. I can just tune into TV and watch a bit of Ricky Gervais and get the same sort of humour. So
You're okay. Oh, you're all right then. Thank God for Netflix.
Thanks.
So what? Normally we talk about what we've been doing. So I've been at home. I've been walking from one room to another. No, in all seriousness, though, I actually think I was talking about this on my my Entrepreneurs Blueprint podcast last week. I actually think, the same. Obviously, it's a terrible situation. I'm not at all saying that it is. I'm not poo-pooing that. Obviously, terrible. People are dying. Businesses are going bust, etc. However, the same wind blows on us all, and I think that your life is 10% what happens to you and 90% what you make of it. Yeah. So yes, this is happening to us, but this is just the 10%. How are we going to respond to this? That's the 90%. What are we going to do? And what a great time to reflect and to plan and to prepare and to skill yourself up and to just to have a chance. If you're running a business, to have a chance to just stop everything and go, well, we're not running everything right now. How can we improve on to have time?
Yeah.
I mean, everyone always says, oh, I've got no time, I've got no time. Now you've got time.
Now, everyone's got time at the minute. There's no excuse. I obviously at the minute, I'm doing a lot of one-to-one calls, one-to-one webinars with people, those on the academy that we're doing a lot of one-to-one time with. And a big thing we're focusing on at the minute is stop worrying about booking viewings, just worry about prepping for when all this kicks off again, because you want to be ready. Like as soon as think of it like a dog race at the greyhounds. As soon as that buzzer goes, you want to be like a greyhound out of trap one. You want to be gone. You want to be out fast, straight back into business. No thinking about, no messing around. No then. Let's just say the government say that, you know what, next Monday we can all ease the lockdown. Don't then think, oh, actually, I'll start thinking about my business. I'll start thinking about what I can do. You need to be thinking now about what you can do so that when this all goes over and it all blows away, which it will do, and it'll be quicker than you think. Because
it will. And people are going to look back and they're going to be like, why did I not use that time? I had all that time. Why did now is such a great time. I'm going to be so pissed if I don't do the stuff I've put through stuff for our business. I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do, and some we've already done. But if I don't get it done during lockdown, I'm gonna be like, what a waste.
It's like, I get it. People work hard and they probably enjoyed a week or two of just chilling out and just relaxing. But now let's get serious, right? This is over. Let's start prepping for when it blows over and let's all businesses come back thriving. Let's come back kicking ass and let's all start making money. Let's all start doing what we've got to do. And let's not let this coronavirus completely decimate the economy, because it will only decimate the economy if we allow it to, right? And if businesses don't come prepared to when this all kicks off, and they don't also look at their business model. So, for instance, we've had to look at our business model. I've had to look at my business model, one of my other businesses, and I know many people have had to look at their model of how they run their business.
And there's also going to be, I'm sure there's going to be lots of businesses, maybe even your business, where you go, like, wow, we've actually improved it. So when it goes back to normal, because we've done this, it's like, this is actually going to make life easier and streamline it. How many people are going to start working from home once this goes back? Crazy. Anyway,
I don't imagine there'll be many people when they go back to work in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. I don't imagine they're going to be in the office saying, hey, Mr. Bossman, can I work from home from now on? Because they've had 5-6 weeks at home. So I don't imagine that's going to happen, but
Well, I think they will.
I can't see that. I
I
imagine.
think they will. I think they're going to go and go, look, I work from home. I did all my work. I don't need to come into the office. Oh,
Yeah.
it's going to happen. I really do. Anyway, and I also think employers are going to be looking at it and going, do we need offices?
Yeah.
Do we need offices? Who knows? Anyway, this week, so we're talking about the government made an announcement, which I think, I was speaking to Samuel about this the other day. He says that he agrees with what the government are saying because he doesn't think you should be able to kick people out during this time. And I agree with him to a point, but I think maybe they should have been a bit clearer. But basically, the government have come out and kind of said, all landlords talking about this, that tenants are seeing this as tenants don't have to pay rent during this time. Almost.
It's because that's what they've been. Well, I'll get to my opinion in a minute, but there's a couple of reasons for that.
Yeah, but that's kind of how it's kind of come across. It's not saying that's the case, but that's kind of how people are taking it. So I personally, I know you've had a couple now. All my tenants have actually carried on paying.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've had a couple that haven't. And I know lots of people have had tenants that have got in touch and sort of said, hey, I'm not going to pay rent during this time, etc., etc. So I suppose the question is, what is the legal standpoint with this, which is what landlords are going to want to know? How should they best prevent it? And if someone does come to them and say, what can they do about it? So do you want to first off give it from a legal point of view, what you believe?
Clarify about my tenants. My tenants have all paid their rent. It's just I've had 2 or 3 leave and go home. They've gone back to Poland. But what they did do, which I thought was very brilliant of them, is they were due to pay till the end of the month, and they left the money until the end of the month, but they went mid-month. So even though they went home, they still paid the 2 weeks rent that they were committed to. So listen, I can't fault them, and they're welcome.
So did they break their contract then to go?
But they paid the rent up until the end of the month, which I'm happy with, because they're weekly payers. So I'm very happy with that. They didn't trash the place. They left the place very clean, very tidy. All we had to do is clean it and get somebody else in there. So yeah, all my tenants are pretty much up to date. And I for my HMO management team who are looking after that for me. They're doing a very, very good job. So and I know it's hard. So yeah, very, very good on them. Right, from a legal standpoint, categorically, you still have to pay your rent. There's no, the government did not say you do not have to pay your rent. They said that you cannot be evicted during this time, and any current evictions or any current action to get people out are being halted during this period of time. That's what they said. But the way the government say things is so airy-fairy and so in between, because they're so scared of upsetting the world and upsetting the apple cart, that they have to in the government spiel, and therefore the majority, or actually that's really incorrect, and therefore some people, some tenants take that as an opportunity to say, oh, I don't have to pay my rent, so I'm not going to pay it. The majority of tenants will still pay their rent because the majority of tenants are very, very good. It's only the people that like to take advantage of situations will not pay their rent. I can guarantee that. For instance, I've got several properties that I own, but I've also got several properties that are on lease option. And I've spoke to all of my lease option owners, all my vendors. And so, for instance, Paul, one of the guys, he owns a property that I have a lease option on in Wolverhampton. I was having conversations with him the day, phoned me up and goes, Alistair, I'm just ringing you up to see how we're getting on. What's the current situation with the virus and the lease payment you have to pay me every month? And I said, Paul, I don't know what you're on about. So as far as I'm concerned, business is business. I agreed to pay you a fee, so I'll be paying you that fee. And he was like, oh, Alistair, that's like so good to hear. Like, I really appreciate that, and I appreciate times are hard. But if you're in a situation where you can't pay it, please do let me know. It's not going to be a problem. And I'm like, Paul, no, because I made an agreement, and I'm not using this whole 3 months no evictions as a way around to get around this. I honour my word, and I think it's like my rent from my apartment. I'm not going to stop paying it because the coronavirus. Now, obviously, if I'm in a situation where I can't afford to pay it, that's different. But you've got tenants out there that will just take that are still working, that can afford to pay the rent, but are just using this whole thing as an excuse to not pay the rent because the government gave them the green light to do something. Do you know what I mean? And it's disgusting, really, because they're just taking advantage of a situation, and also they're taking advantage of the landlord. There's many people suffer because they are ignorant and because their lack of money management or their lack of planning. There's no reason for it. Now, obviously, if you're in hardship and you've lost your job and you've got no income and you've got no savings, of course, you need to have a conversation.
So what would you say? What would you say then if we're saying that you can't evict people? So if they don't pay their rent, what happens? If you can't evict them?
There's two types of tenants out there I've found. There's the type of tenant that will just use this to their advantage and not pay, and then they'll ignore you. They'll do whatever they can to avoid you as the landlord. They'll ignore you. They'll ignore your calls, your letters, whatever. And then there's other type of tenant that will be sitting at home worried to death that they can't pay their rent. And I believe the vast majority are the people that will be worried. I don't believe the majority is the people that will be avoiding the rents. I believe the majority of the people that are in a situation where they're on hardship and through no fault of their own at present, they can't afford to pay their rent. Now, these are the people that will be worrying at night. They'll be worrying that they're going to get evicted, worrying that they're going to get into debt. Now, what my advice to them, and I've got several bits of advice I'm going to give. My advice to them is the key to all of this. The absolute key is communication. It is imperative that if you're in a situation where you've got a tenant that cannot pay the rent, that you're communicating with them from a position of the landlord and also from a position of the tenant. Now, and what I would do if I was a landlord, which I am, and this is what I'm not doing this because I don't manage my properties, but my management company do this, okay? But if I was a landlord who managed my own properties, this is how I would be handling it. I would be sending them all an email. I would first send them, give them a phone call and try and get in touch with them via phone to have a conversation to make sure they're okay, make sure they're healthy, make sure they're safe, and see if I can do anything for them. And secondly, everything we talked about on the phone, I would be backing up by email because then you've got a paper trail. And in that email, I would just be like, reassuring them that they're not going to get evicted, that we're not going to take legal action against them. You're reassuring them that the rent is still due. However, if they're really in a situation where they cannot afford to pay it, then we have to have a conversation and we have to discuss that. But reassure them that if they come to me saying, Alistair, look, we really can't pay our rent, that it's not going to be a problem, and that they're safe and they're still going to have a roof over their head. So there's many steps, but I think communication is super important at this stage. I don't know if you spoke to your tenants.
Do you know, I wasn't sure what the best way around it was. Doing a bit of research online, I think it is probably best to get in touch with the tenants. The thing is that what you don't want to do is get in touch with them and give them the green light. If you can't, like that you said that lease option guy did to you. Yeah. He's basically given you the green light not to pay, hasn't he?
Basically, yeah.
So a lot of people, I think, would hear that and be like, put it this way, if you were starting to have money difficulties, he'd be the first one that got chopped off your list.
Well, it's like anything. Look, if you cut your cloth accordingly, my dad's always said, and you cut your cloth accordingly. So if you're in financial difficulty, you've got to look at not cutting corners, but cutting costs. And you look at the most priorities. So, like, I would, as a money management tool, I would sit down, I would work out, I would write down what are your priorities, what are the priority payments, things like your rent.
But you can't have that conversation. You can't have that conversation with them, can you? You can't ring up your tenant and go, "What are your priority payments?" Number one, rent.
Your priorities. Listen, it's like people need to understand their priorities in life. Okay, your priorities are roof over your head, your bill, paying your immediate bills, not paying for Netflix, not paying for Sky TV, not paying for all the luxuries, not paying for time out, whatever. It's what you need to survive.
But then you could argue, let's say your Sky TV is in a contract for 12 months, then you'd be breaking your contract to not pay that.
You could, but they're not going to evict you, are they? Now, I know you're not going to get evicted.
Well, landlords aren't going to evict you either. No one's going to evict you.
But if you don't pay your rent and that goes on for like the ban on evictions is only for 3 months currently.
Yeah, but Sky TV's 30 quid. Your rent might be 1,000 quid.
It might be, but still your priority. I think your priorities are your rent, mate. On your like Sky TV is fine, but
are the priorities the rent? Now the government have come out and said you're not going to get evicted during this time. So suddenly, that's what I'm saying. Suddenly, doesn't the rent drop now because it's like, well, if I don't pay, there's no consequences.
No, I'll tell you what, because there is consequences. Like the consequences are the landlord is then in financial difficulty potentially. That's one consequence. The second consequence is that the rent's not cancelled. It just means you're now 3 months in arrears. That's all. So the rent doesn't go away. It just means that they put what's like a rent, like it's like a rent holiday. So if you don't pay your rent, you've still got to pay it later down the line. So what I saw one of I can't remember who it was, but I think you know who it was. I saw somebody do a Facebook post the other day about this, and they put some like actionable steps in place, which we can credit them for it. But I think it's very, very good, and I found it very interesting. Firstly, have a conversation with your tenant.
I know. I saw that as well. I know. I can't remember who it was. I copied it because I thought it was pretty good. I should try and find it. Maybe try and find their name. But what they said. See, I wasn't sure. So basically, you got two ideas. So number one, do you get in touch, or do you just hope that? Do you just think, well, like no one else has got in touch with me and sort of said, like, oh, I hope you're still going to pay. No, everyone else just kind of assumes you're going to pay, don't they? So do you take that tact or do you get in touch? Now, personally, I wasn't sure. One.
Anything in business, it's always better to be proactive as opposed to reactive. Right? It's always better to be the one making the instigation, making the call, because you're on top of the game. You're in control. That's how I believe. I believe it's better to be the person in control. It's better to be the person like what happens to the I wouldn't think of a joke there, right? The was it the emu that had his head stuck in the sand? Like, is that like, do you know what I mean? It's head stuck in the sand. You can't have your head stuck in the sand. Like, if you don't call, you're gonna have your head stuck in the sand, dude.
Yeah, but that might be the best. That might work. It might be that
you cannot have your head stuck in the sand in this.
You're not having your head stuck in the sand. You've got an agreement. They haven't got in touch with you. You're just thinking, okay, well, I assume they're going to pay.
Yeah, okay. Now you put it like that. Now, yeah, that's why I love having conversations with you, because you always look at things slightly different to the way I do. But now you put it that way, in fairness, are Sky TV ringing everybody saying you're going to pay your bill this month?
No,
that is true. But
the thing is, you don't want to rattle the nest because you're thinking, if I just say nothing, the direct debit, it's on direct debit, it's just going to come out. If I ring them, I'm not sure what the best approach is. The one we saw, they were saying that you should get in touch, and I'll tell you the steps they suggested. So I did think it was good. So they suggest don't phone them. They say you phone them, you don't give them time to think about it, and they might say something stupid on the phone. So email them. That's
a very good point. Very good point. Because they'll say rash, won't they? Because you're not letting what you're saying sink in. It's a very good point.
So basically say something along the lines of this: we hope you're well during the uncertain times. We're not going to make you homeless or charge late fees if you don't pay on time. But pay your rent as normal if you can. If you think you're going to have trouble paying your rent, make sure that number one, you've sorted out furlough and your universal credit if you can. Remember that rent's a priority, but basically, if you are going to struggle to pay it, let us know and we'll work with you, right? So then, anyone that's trying to take the pay at this point is going to email you back and say, I actually think I might. They're not going to say yes. They're not going to say they are, because you've asked them to say if you think you might be. So they're going to come back to you and say, yeah, I think I might be. And then you send them through a rent payment plan request where they need to give you their financial status and circumstances, that they need proof that they're now struggling and not getting income in, proof that they've applied for universal credit, etc., etc. So all the people that are kind of taking the piss, the trier honours, the people just won't fill that form in, and they'll just carry on paying rent as usual. The ones that are really struggling will fill it in. And at the end of the day, if they are really struggling, they're the ones you want to help. So if they are really struggling and they fill it in, you can see, oh yes, they've got a letter from their company, they have had their pay cut. Oh yes, they are now earning on this much. Oh yes, here are their outgoings. Then it's kind of, because you can get a mortgage holiday. I know, again, you still got to pay it, but you can get.
Not everyone can get a mortgage holiday. So, like, this is what's annoying about the government and the way they've announced this is they've come out saying that people can get mortgage holidays. Not all buy-to-let landlords can get mortgage holidays.
No,
it's not across the board guarantee given. You have to apply for it. Like, so there's so many.
I also saw a lot of people that got them. It's the same as the loans, though. Same as the company loans. Like, we'll give out the company loans, but I keep seeing people on Facebook still haven't had any word from my bank. Still, it's the government are all well and good coming out and saying these great things, but if the infrastructure in the country, if the banks, if the mortgage companies aren't in a position to back it up, then it's not necessarily going to happen. But that's what they suggested anyway. So I think that probably makes sense.
Yeah.
Personally, I didn't do anything. I didn't get out to when everyone paid, so it kind of worked for me. But I actually think, in hindsight now, I had other things to worry about at the time. So in hindsight now, I think that their approach is probably a good approach. And that's what I would say. If a tenant came to me now and said, and this is what I would suggest you guys doing, if tenants have come to you and not paid their rent, I would get back to them. I would say, totally understand. We're very happy to help out people that are struggling. However, if you can't pay your rent, please fill out this form and we'll work out some sort of payment holiday.
Yeah.
But you need to prove, A, that you've had your income cut and affected. Because most people haven't had it.
No, I know. A lot of people they've gone on to furlough, but they're still getting 80% of the salary. Like, they're still, that's still quite a large amount. And I know a lot of people live month to month, but
but even if you agree to take 80% of their rent during this period, for example, while they're on furlough, I think it needs a conversation. But you need to have they need to be requesting proof.
100%. But that's a very good idea. You could say, well, I'll tell you what, if you're struggling to pay and you're on furlough, you're getting 80% of your salary, so we'll take 80% of the rent, and the other 20%. What you need to do afterwards as a landlord is you need to make sure you've got it in writing from them how they propose to pay this money back as well. What's the tenant's proposal to getting it paid back? Because again, it's a holiday. If you allow it, if the landlord allows it, it's a holiday. It's not a cancelling rent. So all you have to do is you have to just be able to say to them, look, how do you propose you're going to pay it back? And that's a conversation, has to be agreed upon, and I would write it down and get both parties to sign it. And it might be that they do an extra 20% each month, and then they pay off in that period of time. But they definitely have to pay it back, and just don't charge them any sort of interest or any sort of late fees or anything like that. But
I mean, I personally have noticed that my costs have come down since going into lockdown. So I've got nothing to spend money on.
Got nothing to spend.
I'm not going to Starbucks. I'm not going to restaurants. I'm not going to the theatre. I'm not going to the cinema. I'm not using any petrol. Like, I'm probably saving £500 a month on petrol.
You're making me sad now because I miss all of that sort of stuff. Like,
oh, it's true though. It's true. Do you know what I mean? I'm saving a fortune.
You notice how obviously the price of petrol's gone right down to like I think it was
because oil. Oil's gone down, hasn't it?
It just goes to show you that they can sell it for that and still make money. Like
it's because the price of oil's gone down, so the oil's less.
The price of oil's gone down because the demand's gone down. It's all relative to the demand. So there's no demand at the minute. If you think about it, like there's 20% less. There's 80% less planes in the sky. Public transport's not running. Most cars aren't running. Like, no, who's buying petrol at the minute? Like, I bet petrol sales have plummeted. And like,
I think they should put the petrol prices up to make people think.
Yeah.
If you got, it's meant to be essential driving only. If they said, well, just to stop people from driving, you can still drive. It's going to be £5 a litre. It's like, do you know, it would work though, wouldn't it? stop people going out.
It would stop people going out. Yeah, it would, because nobody's going to get on a train, are they? Yeah, I agree with that. But look, I think some actionable steps. If you're a landlord and you self-manage and you want to look after tenants, number one, make sure you're communicating with them. I think this is what I would do, and then you can do what you would do. I would communicate with them.
I would do whatever you tell me.
Okay, I would communicate with them and just make sure that communication's key. I think is really important. And I would have that back door all up by email. And then if they can't agree, if they can't pay their rent due to hardships, I would just ask for some proof. I would ask them to fill that form out. I would create a form for that. Ask them to fill it out and see proof. And then after that, I would agree a term for how long it's going to, or when they're going to pay it back and how they're going to pay it back, and get that written down. And then that's about it, really. It's all you can really do. I would also be asking to see proof that they are being furloughed and then that they've lost their income as well, just because a lot of people will use this as an opportunity to take advantage, which is not.
Yeah, I agree. I think you've got to you want to weed out the people that are trying to take advantage of it. If you make them fill out some sort of form proving it, they just won't even entertain it. You'll just won't hear back from them again, and you'll realise that they were someone that was trying to take the mick.
Here's a question. So let's just say you've got a tenant who's been a bit of a nightmare during this time. You know they can still pay their rent, but they're choosing not to pay it, and they're just taking advantage of you. So when this all goes back to normal, what do you
do? Probably evict them.
Yeah, same. Same. If I had a tenant that was genuine hardship, I will do whatever I can to help them. I've done it many times.
The thing is, if they refuse to fill out the form and prove it, you know. If they refuse to fill it out, I'd know that the reason they're refusing to fill it out is because it was going to show that they were still getting earnings, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. How do you go after them for the money afterwards? If they just say, I'm not paying the rent, I'm not paying the money afterwards, what do you do? Evict them and take out their deposit?
Yeah, keep the deposit.
The deposits, is it like, what, 5 weeks now?
5 weeks, yeah, up to, yeah. So, since the new regs came in, I think it was April last year. But I would be evicting them. I would be evicting them and chasing them through small claims court for their rent, and like, as long as you've got a contract, you will get there. But yeah, so that's what you do. But like at the end of the day,
I don't think I'd take him for the small claims court.
It depends how much. I mean, I know a landlord that's owed £9,000 from a freaking tenant.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
For £9,000, of course he's going to. And the thing is, the tenant works in the City of London. I know this. He's not paid 4 months' rent now. This was before all this kicked off, so I don't know what's happening now. But his rent was like £1,700, £1,800 a month or whatever for an apartment in I think it's Kensington, and the guy's just not been paying it. But he works in like the financial district, and he if you look, he drives like a really nice car. He gives the impression he's got loads of money, but he just doesn't pay his rent, and he's now trying to evict him. He was trying to evict him before this kicked off, so I don't know what's happened. He won't be able to evict him now, but yeah, these are the
craziness.
It is crazy. Okay, so that's what I would do. If you're a landlord and you're looking to work with your tenants, use them steps. Maybe we can.
I'd also like to know, if you are a landlord, comment below what you did and what. I'd be very interested as well in finding out what percentage of their tenants have tried this, and you know. So please do comment below what steps you did, how it worked for you, what situation you're in now. And yeah, we'd love you to get in touch. Right, it's now time for this. Okay, so this is the part of the show where you ask questions to us and we do our best to answer them. So the usual best place to do this, first of all, are on our Instagram. So check me out. It's at Russell Leeds. And check Alistair out. It's at Alistair _ Birmingham. So we'll probably do a couple today. So first one from James Leach. The question is, hey guys, love the show. What's your take on the housing market in the upcoming months? Do you think it could be similar or even worse than the 2008 crash?
Okay, so I read a report the other day, and they are predicting that 80% less houses will be sold in the next 6 months than in the same period last year. Because there's so much uncertainty on the markets at the minute with regards to value and end values. So if all I would say at the minute with regards to property prices, I think we're going to see a drop in property prices, but I do.
Well, right now there's a massive drop.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, but
right now. But that's because it's like no one wants to buy right now. So it's kind of,
it comes back to like the supply and demand type thing. There's plenty of supply, but there's not much demand, so the price is driven down. We talked about this earlier with the petrol. There's no demand for it, so the price has gone down, so they can sell it.
but petrol prices, obviously, the second the lockdowns, I totally imagine petrol prices are going to shoot back up. Do you think? I suppose the question is: do you think the same is going to happen with houses, or do you think that the house market is going to take a while to get back?
I think it's going to take 2 or 3 months to kick back into action, but I think it will get there. I think maybe 6 months. Like it all depends when the lockdown finishes. Like if we're in lockdown for another six months, then we're going to be a year. But I think whenever we finish, it's going to take 3 to 6 months to start seeing some sort of recovery in the house prices and the valuations and things like that. I really do.
It's a real pain for me because we've literally just finished building what is literally right now 6 houses, and it's like, oh, so like I can't sell them. It's gonna be a nightmare to sell them like right now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to wait. So they're just gonna be sitting there, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. So I'm hoping that within a few months it will go back up. But I think the truth is that we don't really know.
Nobody knows. We just have to wait and see. But it's the same as 2008, like obviously the property crash. Like it did.
Do you know the difference though? The difference in 2008 is in 2008 the recession happened because the banks ran out of money.
Yeah.
Whereas now the banks have got loads of money now. Yeah. I mean, they've just printed 200 billion.
Yeah.
The banks don't have no money. The banks are going to be the banks are lending out right now. The banks are happy to lend. The only reason that they're not with mortgages and stuff right now is because it's physically kind of difficult to complete, to do the surveys, etc., do the viewings and all that sort of stuff. But I think because the banks have money right now, and the banks are going to want to continue lending when we get out of this, I think we'll be okay. I agree with you, but we don't know. We don't know for sure.
All I would say during this time is if you're an investor and you're looking to buy, now's a great time to buy because prices are dropped. I was speaking to somebody literally 2-3 days ago, and they've got a house that's worth about 100,000, and they were getting offers of 50, 55, 60,000 pounds for the property. So that's that's 40% BMV. Like, do you know what I mean? And if you can find something like that, and the investor or the vendor will take the offer, then snap it up because it's still a great investment. Now, I would say be very, very careful with the property. Make sure the property stacks up and be super conservative on figures. Now, where a lot of people are going to get stuck at the minute is on buy, refurbish, refinance, where they're working to a very tight budget with regards to the end valuation, because it's likely to get downvalued a little bit, even more so now than normal. Like when you consider we've just come off the back of Brexit, and the banks were systematically downvaluing properties by 5 to 10%. Right?
But properties had started to go up. It was the Boris bounce and all this, and then boom, coronavirus.
And it's like, come on, one thing after another. It's like just give me another.
That's what I said about life being 10%. What happens to you? It's like you literally could go your whole life. 2012, the world's going to end. Oh no, there's Ebola. Oh no, there's Brexit. Oh no, the Tories are going to get in. Oh no, you could go around in a state of oh no, all your whole life if you wanted to. But
yeah, I was listening to some music before we come on this call, and it's from a band called the Faithless from the 90s. I don't know if you know them because you were probably not born then, but you were actually. When were you born?
I was born in 1989.
You were, okay. So I was 82, but yeah, Faithless from.
Are you a millennial?
Well, I was born in the 80s. I was 82, so I don't know. How do you define
What? I don't know. Let me find. While you tell this story, I'll find out if you're a millennial or not.
I was listening to some music from Faith. It's called. They played at T in the Park, 2016, I think it was. And there's a song. It's about 12 minutes in. Watch it. And it's by the. I don't know the guy's name.
You are
rap.
81.
Oh, I'm a millennial. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, and he raps and he says fear is basically fear is a weapon of mass destruction, and that's true. It is fear. People's fear of like what happens if this happens, what happens if that happens. It stops them doing stuff. I'm going to check and see if you can put a little link of that in because it's a very, very powerful song. And it's so true through everything, through Ebola, through exactly what you just said a minute ago. All these things that have happened stops people doing stuff because they're scared. And we cannot let this scare us. Yes, people have died. Yes, people are getting ill, and it's devastating. But don't let their death be in vain. Do you know what I mean? Come out of it stronger. Everything that's happened in the world, there's everything. There's always been crisis, and then there's been recovery. So just make sure that we recover as best.
Leads on to my next question from Johnny Peters. He says, "Hey guys, how you doing? You're very well, Johnny. Thank you. How to get around the problems of exchange and completion at the moment? You're completing right now, aren't you?"
Yeah. So I'm working on a deal in Bedford, which is a very, very good deal. Now, it's been going on now for 4 months because there's been issues with planning, issues getting stuff out of the council and all sorts. Particularly now because the councils have effectively shut down, so we can't get the relevant information, but we finally got it. So I am due to complete on that sometime next week, hopefully. So we just have to wait and see. But sorting out the bridging finance, sorting out all the stuff has been a mission. Bear in mind, everything, like sorting out finance is slow at the best of times. Right? Speaking to the council is slow at the best of times. Speaking to solicitors is slow at the best of times. Now factor in they're all working from home. Factor in that they're all on a bit of a go slow, and it's like just everything's just delayed. Everything's just slower. And you just have to be patient, understand that this is just everyone's in the same boat, and just sit back, chill out, have a beer, and just chill out, and just not get so stressed about stuff because stress will cause you injuries and cause you problems. That's my take on it. How am I getting around it? I'm just being proactive. I'm just calling the agent. I'm keeping in touch with everybody, communication. I'm speaking to my mortgage broker, my finance guy every day. I'm speaking to solicitors every couple of days. I'm giving them the documents they need, like that. They want a document, they get it back in 10 minutes. I'm being very, very active, very proactive when it comes to anything they need from me that I can control. Anything out of my control, then all I can do is nothing. I can just chill out, not let it stress me out, and just accept that it will happen when it happens.
So just be proactive, same steps as usual, and just be proactive and patient.
Patient. You're gonna have to be patient, and don't get stressed out, and don't take it out on your people that are working with you because they've got the same problems, mate. Just chill, proactive, keep in touch with people, and do what you can. Now, there is still some surveyors going out doing surveying on property. There's not many, but there is still some working. And there's still some lenders lending, but they've reduced all their loan to values and they've put restrictions on what they'll lend. Some lenders have pulled completely out of the market for the time being. You need a good broker at this point if you're going to look to raise finance. But again, only buy the deals that really, 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 really stack up and you've done extensive due diligence on. Don't be buying deals that are mediocre, or don't be buying deals that are borderline. Buy deals that are amazing.
Awesome. Brilliant. Well, guys, thanks ever so much for tuning in. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button below. If you've got any questions that you'd like us to answer on next week's show, comment those below as well. And I don't really have anything else to say. Do you?
I do.
You do?
Look, dude, can we see
Can't
that?
see it. Oh, you can now.
Bro, the Entrepreneur's Blueprint by Russell Leeds. It arrived in Amazon yesterday. I got it yesterday. Listen,
Nice.
Not got this. Buy it. It's an amazing book. I've only read the first chapter, but it's an amazing book. Buy it. Entrepreneurs.
In all fairness, though, you've read it on the computer before.
Yeah, I know, but I like reading it, and it feels good. It feels good. It's nice.
Yeah, well, buy it because it feels good.
It's important. Make sure you buy that book.
Oh, thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Thanks ever so much, guys. We will be back next week. Mwah. Love you all. See you soon.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.